So in case the room gets full, I see that right now if you hit 83. We normally about 100. If you get kicked out and you cannot get through, Victor will be sending the link to all our chat box. He'll send it to me, and I'll also send it to each and every one. But again, I want to say thank you all for joining. Oh, sorry. So, okay, so hold on. Let me see what I can do here, and then we can go ahead. So next, it's similarly, we're gonna do the same thing I'll be doing each week. Please, if you are not the one asking questions, kindly mute yourself. If we have not opened for question and answers, please mute yourself. If Mr. Samuel is talking, please mute yourself. Please make sure we give each and everyone a chance to ask questions. Today we're going an hour and 30 minutes, so we're not gonna go over that because our crew in Thailand, people joining us from UAE, people joining us from India, the time might be like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. at their time. We don't want to keep a lot of people up because they need to work in the morning. So if you also are given the opportunity to ask a question, please make it short but detailed so Mr. Sam can also explain everything to you. So Mr. Theophilus, please unmute yourself and then talk a little bit about our Accra office, and then we can take it right from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Bache. My name is Theophilus Amankwa, and I am the country manager here in Ghana and other nations in Africa and then the Caribbean. We have our first office was in Kumasi, but now because of the clarion call from people in Accra, we have a new office in Accra, Medina Rolling Circle. Right on the circle, right on the roundabout. That is where our office is. So I've been around for a few days now. I'll be around for like 2 weeks. So I've called a few people that I'm meeting this week and then next week. So if you are in Accra and then you have any question that is bothering your mind concerning studies in abroad, or let me put it this way, if you want to study undergraduate program, graduate program, or even PhD program, you can visit me at the office this week at Rolling Circle Medina near UPS, so that we can go through the nitty-gritties of preparing yourself for any program that you want to do outside. So this is just to let you know that we have an office in Accra. I know some of you know, and then this week possibly I'll be going to Tamale to meet my friends Theo, and then his friends in Tamale. So those in Tamale, and then now we have, how many regions do we have in the north now? I don't know, about 4 or 5. So
5.
We have 5.
5.
We have 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
5. That's nice. So I will be in Tamale. So the other 4 regions, you can come around and then meet me. We will put, maybe we should find a flyer and put it out there so that we will find a venue and meet and have a chat. So it is also very likely that we have an office at the north, looking at calls that is coming from the top there. So just so you know that we have an office in Accra. We are looking forward to establishing another office in the north. Thank you very much, Dr. Wacha. I think I'll end it.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Theophilus. And as I always say, it's showtime, guys. It's showtime. So I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of background about our colleague who is joining us today. So Sam and I have been talking a long time. We've been catching up here and there. He's been busy. I'm also busy once in a while. We do catch up. And I reached out to him that I really want him to share his experience. So Sam did his master's degree here in the US, graduated from Ghana. He came here, did his master's, and currently in a PhD program. He's at the University of Cincinnati in Ohio, and I really want him to talk about. Today we'll be having a conversation. I'll pen my questions down here for you, Sam. I hope he can go through everything with us. He'll be talking about his experiences. I know a lot of you start thinking that when you hear study abroad, y'all get scared about how am I going to pay, how am I going to get to the US, how is the interview process like, how do I even study application and all that. Sam and I have had, I'm sorry guys, the room is full. So in case you get kicked out, please join on YouTube. We're also live on YouTube. So the guys will put a YouTube link here. So Sam will be talking a lot about his experiences because we'll be talking about the cultural experiences, education experiences, scholarship opportunities, teaching assistantship, research assistantship, and all that. So I want everybody to really pay attention today as we go through that. Also, I want you to have your questions, pen them down as soon as we start. You can ask. So I'm really excited to have Mr. Samuel Adabla here, and he's joining us live from Ohio. So, Mr. Sam, you can also introduce yourself, and then again, it's gonna be showtime with question and answers from myself and Mr. Samuel Adabla.
Thank you very much. And before I begin, I just want to say Happy Father's Day to all prospective fathers who join us today, and to also say we really appreciate your time. You could have been doing something else this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are joining us. Just want to say thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And I hope I'm able to share some insights about some of the questions that you may be asking this afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. So thank you so much. I think Dr. Boati has said a lot about me. So just quick information about myself. I graduated from University of Ghana, and I came here to the United States, did my master's, and after my master's, worked for a couple of years, and then decided to go back to school again. And I'm currently a PhD student in health promotion and education, also like public health in Cincinnati here in Ohio. So that's pretty much about me.
All right, thank you very much, Sam. So Sam, even before we started, as soon as the flyers went out, and again, thanks for bringing it to my attention. There were some grammatical errors we had to fix. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. So I have my notebook here. So guys, anybody that sent a question that I should add, Sam, I have it here for you. Sam, so the first question is, what actually motivated you to pursue an education or studies in the US? What was your motivation?
That's a really big question, but I personally, after my bachelor's, I was interested in going to an English-speaking country where the process would be much easier for me, because in Ghana, our official language is English. And so I was inspired to go to an English-speaking country, because from my interaction with some people who went to other non-English speaking countries, one of the requirements is you have to learn their language for a year. And that's to just waste my time. So for example, I don't want to mention some countries, but I have some colleagues who went to some European Union countries that is non-English speaking. So they had to use 1 year to learn their language. And after that, before they progress, they start with their programming. So it was just gonna be waste of time for me. That aside, from my research, I found out that education in the US, it's very valuable. It's hands-on training, as you attest to, in terms of the courses that we take, how the learning process goes, the student-teacher interaction, the plethora of information and resources available for you. And so those are some of the things that I really want to have education in this system, where it has produced a lot of great people, great talent. And so those are some of the things that inspired me to really want to come to this country and study from here.
Thank you. And I know a lot of people get motivated, especially going to the Anglophone countries, since, like, for example, if you have to go to, my friend called me from Russia the other day that he has to learn the Russian language before he can start his medical program. So 1 year to learn the Russian language. Another person also called me from a different country, and he said everything has to be in that language before she or he can start. But interestingly, another person also want to say, okay, right now you've been motivated and you're about to go for the interview. You've already gone to the interview. When you went for the interview, how was the process like, the visa interview? How did you feel? The question and answers, how did you prepare? And is it very important to prepare for the interview or just walk through and then answer question and then walk out?
Absolutely. Just like any other thing in life, you have to be really prepared for it because one of the things that I learned from the process is that they deal with every case, every individual on case basis. I've heard a lot of people say, well, if you have traveled before, if you have good grades and stuff like that, it kind of makes it easier. Yes, it makes it easier for you, but that doesn't mean that you just go there and then they give you um, the visa to come over here. Fortunately for me, I've had travel experience, before coming over here. I got opportunity to go to Europe. And so, I mean, you would have said probably that would give you the opportunity because one of the things the consulate officers are looking for is for you to establish the connection back home that you come back, to your country of origin. So people would think, oh, if you have traveled before, if you have had a good grade and stuff like that, it makes it easier for you. That doesn't just make it a walk in the
Great, Sam. Can you share some of the questions that were asked during the interview? Like, I know for me, my first question is, what's your name? And I was surprised because he had my passport, but why is he asking me my name? But for you, what was the experience? What was the first question that was asked? Sam, you are muted, please.
Okay, am I live now?
Yes, sir.
So I don't recall exactly the first question that was asked and the order in which they were asked, but I pretty much remember when I went first, I had to hand over my document to them. And for me, one of the things that helped me was that because I was determined to come here to the US and come and study, apart from my process of research and things like that, I also visited the Education USA, which is in the embassy, which a lot of people don't know about. And so I went there a couple of times to see education counselors, and then they were able to take me through the process in terms of how even I organize my documents for easy reach when I go there. There are certain documents that you have to arrange in a certain order so that when you go there, you'll be able to hand them those. So for example, the passport should be within easy reach. Your I-20 should be within easy reach. Your academic transcript should be within easy reach. Your service fee and visa application fee, all those things should be put together so that when you go there, those are the things that you're going to hand over to the consular officers. So I went there a couple of times. I don't remember how many times I went there just to prep me for the process. And in the process of going to the Education USA, which is located in the US Embassy in Ghana, I got to learn a lot of things. We had a mock interview. They kind of asked me questions which were synonymous to what the consular officers were likely going to ask me. And when I provided a response, they kind of shaped me. What about this? What about that? So before I even stepped my feet into the interview room, it was almost like I was psychologically prepared for it. And I kind of have all the information that's likely gonna be requested for me. So I would say anybody looking to go through the process, that is another resource that you can also benefit from Education USA. And I do understand that because of the pandemic, they currently may not be open to the public. That notwithstanding, they occasionally hold seminars like we are doing now. And not only in Ghana, I'm pretty sure Education USA in other countries that participants have joined us here. So those are some of the information they can look into, in addition to their preparation resources that they need to be able to guide them because they provide a lot of resources in terms of how to go about the school search process, how to go about application, how to go about the preparation, and so before your departure, they do some cultural orientation to kind of introduce you to some of the things that you are likely to experience once you come into this country before you come over here. So that was really helpful to me, and I also relied on information from friends and colleagues who were already.
Thank you very much, Sam.
I think you are muted.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I think you've made very beautiful points. So one of the key things we tell all our clients to do is to send them there to Education USA office. So currently you cannot, as you said, you cannot go there, but you can reach them on phone, or they can do a video interview with you. So last Friday, one of our clients who is getting interviewed this week, they interviewed her. And as you said, there were some questions that we have not even talked about. One question that they talked about. Also, I'm going to share my screen so that guys can know how to prepare. So as Sam, you were saying, these are the folders. You need to label them right, because you have 2 minutes, 3 minutes for them to say if you're a credible student. So I'm really glad that you touch on that, because if you are not prepared, it's going to be really hard for you. So I'm glad that you talked about this. And then we make sure we take all our students through so that they will know the imperativeness of getting prepared for the interview, because Education USA has always been a great source. Luckily, they have one in Kumasi now for us. So if you are from the northern sector, you don't need to drive or fly all the way to Accra, but you can get to Kumasi. They have one in Kumasi now. And if you are in India, they have one in Mumbai, they have one in Kolkata, they have one in Bangalore, they have one in Chennai, and they have one in, I've forgotten the name. There are 5 different centers across India, and I've been to 4 of them. And also Delhi. Delhi, if you're in India, Delhi, please go to the when we have our one-on-one standing, please go to the Fulbright House. The Fulbright House is where they house. I've had the opportunity to go there. Beautiful people who are always willing to also help. So that would be a very good thing. And Sam, you already talked about adjusting to culture and also your new environment. What are the key things that they should expect? Or what are some of the things that they should start thinking about in terms of getting ready for their new environment? What are some of the things to expect? Like right now you are in the US, then what? What are some of the things that they are likely to experience when they get to the US?
One of the things is that US is heavily a capitalist society. So you got to pay a lot for your tuition. In fact, it's one of the countries in the world with highest, tuition rates. And so before you come here, I would suggest that you look for scholarship opportunities. If you don't have a scholarship before you are coming, then you should be prepared to, be able to foot the bills yourself. Because depending on which kind of school you are going into, which is one of the advices I give people who contact me, or later on in terms of what kind of school you should apply to, what kind of school you should be looking into. If you are going into a private university, you should first and foremost be aware that those are profit-oriented universities. So their tuition could be as high as 50,000, 70,000 a year. And if you cannot afford that money, then you should be loaded in your pocket before you even come over here. Conversely, if you apply to state universities, you are likely to get funding because tax dollar is being streamlined into state university. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is, of course, everyone will proceed in terms of education, but you should be able to be in a position that you can pay for the tuition in this country. If you don't pay your tuition, you're going to be kicked out of the system. And once you are kicked out, you become inactive. And in this country, once you are inactive, even having your bank accounts, having state ID, having anything becomes really difficult, and it makes your life much more difficult for you. That aside, the other thing is that transportation is one of the things in this country. Unlike in Ghana or Europe, where you have a public transport, unless you're in a big city like how do you call it, New York City, Chicago, or Columbus, or those big cities, that you would have public transport moving very often. If you are living in a college town or in another part of the country, you don't have a car, it becomes really difficult for you to transport yourself from one point to the other. There are public transports in other smaller cities, but they don't operate as frequent as you would expect in the bigger city. So those are some of the things. But this is a really huge country. places are sparsely populated. Before you move from point A to B, you need to, go by car. So if you don't have friends who have car to give you a ride, if you don't have a public transport that will go to particularly where you want to go to, those are some of the challenges. People are really welcoming, I should say. I can only use my personal experience. Friends, colleagues were really welcoming to kind of assist me within the first couple of months when I came in. And that kind of made the transition process a bit easier for me because, and of course, the, how do you call it, the weather difference, depending on what time you come in, you are likely to come in the fall, which is around August, September-ish. And if that's your first time having an experience with the cold weather, then you need to be prepared for, winter jackets and heavy clothes and stuff like that. So mind you, if you don't have a car and you have to go and wait at the bus stop for the car to come pick you, and you're coming from a tropical, region like ours, you can imagine some of the challenges that you'll be facing. The other thing is about accommodation. If you don't know anybody here, how do you go about figuring out where to stay? Then that also falls into your networks that you may have. One of the things that some smart people do is if you get admitted into a particular school, some of them go to Facebook and start looking for, maybe if you are from Ghana, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, you go to Facebook, for example, and then you can type, let me use Ghana for example, Ghanaian students in University of Cincinnati, and then you see them over there, and that's how people begin to make connection. Once you connect to one person, then they link you to another person about, okay, you are likely to see this accommodation over here. But one of the things I must say to jump ahead of myself is that I've come to realize that a lot of us, once we travel, we become very helpful in reaching out to our friends. There are people that you may not know, but once you connect to them on Facebook or whatever social media platform you connect to them, they are able to send you a lot of accommodation, resources that you can apply to. And if they have time, they can guide you through the process until you come over here. So those are some of the challenges that I, can share with our listeners this time.
Thank you very much, Sam. I think you made a beautiful point about getting there, you don't have a jacket. I don't know if any of my clients who are currently here, it's online. I don't think I've not seen one. So I remember in last year, January, I picked one of my clients from Washington, D.C. And just imagine January 4th, it's super cold. It's January. And the jacket wasn't that thick, but she was really prepared for that, of which she's a very good student. So what we did was, what I do for all my clients, if you request it, that when you arrive, if it's Minnesota, if it's Ohio, if it's wherever you are, New York, when you get out, I'll be there to pick you up and take you to school. So we also do that as part of our services, that because not everybody knows anyone here. I remember last time one of my clients, he told me that, oh, Dr. Uso, I don't know anybody in the US. So can you pick me up? And I remember I had to drive like 4 hours, 30 minutes to the airport and picked him up and took him to school. And he was so excited. Guess what? That day we had already had 41 inches of snow. And it was really brutal. Like driving through that snow wasn't easy. So I'm really excited that you've actually brought this very important thing up. What I also I try to ask my clients to do is go on Facebook, as you suggested, African students in, let's say, University of Cincinnati, and then check and see if they can find anybody. University of Saskatchewan, whichever university, UT Austin, A&Ms and all that, you check and see. But I think that is a very good point. So the other thing is, someone was also asking me a question that, please, can you ask Sam, what are some of the social activities that are being organized by the university and also the African Students Association to welcome international students into their new environment?
That's a very great question. Like I started saying before, the international office in a lot of universities here are very welcoming, very resourceful and receptive. And it's one of the things that I would suggest to any international student who is coming to the US or any other place, because they understand the cultural challenges that we are likely to face, like I said before, transportation. if you arrive at the airport, so you need someone to pick you up. So that's one of the things that the international office also, do as well. Once you reach out to them, they also have volunteers who sign up to say maybe August is coming and school will be starting. So then they have a list of students who will be coming to their respective schools. And so they have other volunteers who sign up to drive students or pick up students from the airport to wherever they will be living in. So I would say the international office has been really helpful in terms of accommodation. Sometimes they also give right to students to go to the community in terms of grocery shopping and things like that. They are also very sensitive to the cultural diversity. So they organize various cultural celebration opportunity and stuff like that. I recall during my master's program, we had various celebration where some students from India had their week of celebration. I don't recall exactly what festivity it was that they were celebrating, but then the international office kind of organized that celebration in commemoration of whatever festivity that they were celebrating. And I believe Ghanaians and Nigerians and people from other cultures. So international office has been really helpful only if you make yourself available to them. You go to them, introduce yourself, talk to them if there's any opportunity for you to engage in, because they are your first point of contact, so to speak, with the university aside admissions office, because once you get admission to a particular school, you will be hearing from the admissions office. They will be telling you what document is needed, how do you go about the process and all that. Once you come into the university, you have to go and register with the international office so that they will track your progress and be sure that yes, you are in school, you are taking your courses, you meet the requirements and all that, and be updating your system into the immigration system to show that yes, you are in school and stuff like that. So international office is one of the great resources available in the school. Aside that, there are other community organizations that also support international students. And I recall during my master's level, there was a church group that's into helping international students by way of providing them with furniture, accommodation, thick jackets for winter and all that, those things that are needed in addition to your countrymen and women that you'll be meeting once you come over here. So there are a lot of resources, over here once you come in here. Only if you explore them and make yourself available to use those services.
Thank you very much, Sam. You've really punched a lot of holes here and put a lot of nails through the wood. And I see question from Evans. I see question from Nana. So Nana wants to know that, please, can you ask Samuel, if I'm married and I have kids, can I bring them along or do I wait to get here before I bring them?
Yeah, that's a very great question. And before I answer that question, I want to issue a disclaimer that information that I'm sharing here are based on my personal experience, information I have gathered through research and communication with people. And so nothing I say here is from an expert's point of view or immigration officer's point of view. I am only sharing my personal experiences. Individual cases may be different from mine. Now, what I know is that yes, if you have been admitted into, any school over here, even before you become admitted, the application process would ask you, are you single or married? So I assume you would have something like that during the application process. If you chose maybe married, then the admission office should be aware that you have family. And so in the event you are getting ready to come over here, those are some of the things that you can discuss with the admission office and say, hey, I have my family, my husband and wife. How do I go about the process? They may give you further, it is possible, it is doable. People have done it before. I personally haven't had that experience, neither do I know anybody directly who had that. Maybe Dr. Owusu could share that, experience or whatever information you had. It is possible to do it. You could come together with them or you could come and later on bring them over here.
Thank you, Samuel. The questions keep coming a lot, so I'm going to be bombarding you with some of the questions, and later on I'll be also opening up for them to ask questions. Very important question that I have here, but someone has also asked. Hello, Doc. Can you please ask Samuel if student visas come with work permit? If so, can I work and also go to school?
Okay, so we have, based on my understanding, generally about two categories of student visa, F1, J1, and something family related or fiancé and stuff like that.
M1.
But if you're coming here for school, okay, yeah, predominantly people get F1, visa to come over here. We have J1 visa as well, which comes with condition. J1 visa, for example, it is condition that once you're done with your program, you must at all costs go back to your home country and spend 1 year before you can come back to the country. And a lot of those visas are usually given to people who have scholarship from MasterCard Foundation, Fulbright scholarship, and other kind of organizational scholarship, for example. So, for example, I know a friend from Kenya who was done with his master's but had to go back home, complete that 1 year mandatory stay in his home country before he can come back again and continue his education. That is in contrast, with the F1 student, visa status, which was what I had. So F1 student, what you do is that if you're funding yourself or you got a scholarship from the school or whatever it is, you get an F1 status, which is also a student visa status. But you do not have that conditions of after you are done with your program, you have to go back home, spend a year, and then you come back here. So the F1 is the one that gives you quote unquote work permits, which means that once you come over here, before I even answer that question, like I said before, this country is predominantly capitalist society. You gotta work for every penny that you earn. So as I'll be talking about later on, a lot of scholarship opportunities available in this country is graduate assistantship, as opposed to how do you call it, European Union. Of course, I don't want to talk a lot about that. I had to choose between going to some schools in EU or coming here to the US. So like I was saying, a lot of scholarship opportunities in this country are graduate assistants. Almost about 95% of people I know who are studying in the US came here or who had scholarship, let me put it that way, are on what we call graduate assistantship. But we have three categories of this graduate assistantship. One of them is you be a research assistant. You'll be assisting a faculty member in conducting the research, or you'll be a teaching assistant, in which case, as the name suggests, you'll be teaching or be assisting the faculty in terms of teaching and grading. And the third one is administrative assistant. But the administrative assistant is mostly given to domestic students who are familiar with the administrative process and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that you cannot get it, you can get it. So if you have those assistantships, it is required that you would work in return for your stipend. And so the requirement is that as an international student, you are not allowed to work more than 20 hours a week. So yes, you can work, but it shouldn't be more than 20 hours in a week. And those work have to be in the university that you are admitted into. So you could be teaching, you could be working at dining hall, you could be working in the dormitory or whatever it is, but it has to be on campus and it shouldn't exceed 20 hours. Now, in some extenuating circumstances where you're unable to, how do you call it, take care of yourself financially and things like that, with documented evidence, you can go back to the admissions office, international office, and then you can apply for a work permit that would allow you to take a semester off to kind of work outside campus. But you have to go through the process at the international, house in the school, and then they will process your application for you to work. But those you have to show documented evidence of financial hardship before they can allow you to kind of work off campus legally. Other than that, yes, you work on campus, you'll be teaching, you'll be doing research, you'll be doing some administrative work or dining or whatever it is, and then you work 20 hours a week, and then they give you a stipend depending on how much stipend they'll be giving you for your upkeep. And that's a lot of time, those stipend is different from the scholarship that you'll be getting. Sometimes you may get a scholarship that takes care of all the tuition, and then you have to take care of your upkeep. Other time, some scholarship to take care of part of the tuition, and then you have to pay the remaining part of it and take care of yourself as well. There are times that you may not get a scholarship that will take care of your tuition, but you get, some work opportunity. Like I said, graduate assistants, you be working, be teaching, be researching and stuff like that. and be getting a stipend to be able to support yourself. So there are a variety of circumstances or situations based on individual case.
Sam, thank you very much. I've been getting that question a lot. Some students always, I always use myself as an example, how I was working and using some of the money to pay for my tuition fees. So as you already know about Texas State, some of our, as you mentioned, it's either the GA, the RA, or the GTA, it's a teaching assistant or instructional assistant. I was a research assistant at Texas State. We call it a DRA, which is if you're in a PhD program, you are the doctoral research assistant. So I'm glad you talked about that, because some of the students are really concerned and they do not know that you can get scholarship, you can get work on campus, and then work to also support yourself whilst you go through the program. So I'm really glad that you also made mention about it, or made mention of it. So I'm having a lot of questions here.
I don't mean to cut you short, but with my current PhD program, for example, I teach, I do research, and that's where I get my stipend from. So I'm a student, but I take 2 classes, and I also assist the faculty in doing the research as part of my requirements. And that is where I get my stipend from, aside, my scholarship or my tuition. So those are some of the things. So if I hadn't gotten the teaching and research and assistantship, then my tuition will only be taken care of. And then, I have to fend for myself in terms of my upkeep. And more importantly, a lot of time people don't, so that the money they're giving you for stipend is not for you to build mansion out of it. It's not for you to live lavishly on. They have calculated it so much so that it's almost like from hand to mouth. It will only take care of your upkeep in terms of your rent, your basic utilities. So sometimes you may not have in excess to kind of save to fall back. Of course, you can do it in some circumstances, but it's not as if they're going to be paying you as someone who's working as a full-time. It is for your upkeep as the school. Even before you come here, you have to provide evidence of financial, how do you call it, ability to take care of yourself provided, which is why you have to provide bank statement. So it is assumed that yes, you are able to take care of yourself in the event the scholarship delays and things like that. That notwithstanding, the funding that you get and the stipend or whatever it is should be able to help you put body and soul together once you are here.
Thank you very much. So I need to move on, but I have a question from one of the guys. What's the name again? Please let me. So Selassie, the 3 types of graduate assistantship, as you asked the question, the 3 forms, it can be the teaching assistantship, research assistantship, and the administrative assistantship. So the GATA and the RA. Also, there is something called on-campus jobs for the Americans and a permanent resident. They call it work study, but it does not apply, as it was explained by the dean from Liberty University last week. That is different for us. We on-campus jobs. So what we do for our clients is that before they travel or before they even go for the interview, we try to see if we can get you an on-campus job before you go. Also, as you watched on one of our promotional videos, Gladys, when she got on campus, she was able to get a job, get a social security card, and also so she can work. So that is something that I also want you to know. Please, I know some of you are asking for our Accra office number, so please, Annette, Victor, please put that number up so that they can have it. So another student wants me to ask, please, I'm an HND graduate from Ghana. Is it possible I can get my education, I can further my education in any university? And also, which is the best site that can offer me scholarship sites? Let me see where your name is. So Shadrach, I'll take this question. Some will answer a different question. Yes, in terms of you having an HND, yes, you will need your HND transcript. You also need your WAEC results or your WASI results. I know we took the WAEC, we are old school. So the WASI, those who took the WASI, you will need your WASI results. And then we will help with the scholarship essay. We will help you write it. We'll give you guidelines so you can write a very strong one, and also read through and give you feedback in terms of strengthening your essay before you submit. We work with students from different backgrounds. Some of our students who, one of our students, so last week, 2 of our students got visas. One got visa from Malawi, and the other one he's also preparing to also go. One key thing that I've always stressed on them is that with them is that they need to know that, yes, if they've done some credit here, it is also transferable. So some of those students that I've already helped that had a background in or had an HND, had a diploma in terms of nursing education, they did not start from scratch. If there is a direct correlation in terms of what you're doing. Some of them, they did, one guy did nursing and now he's doing IT here. So what they did was that the nursing credit was not transferable, but some of the classes like basic statistics was transferred. His English classes, all those classes are transferable. Even with that, he's not starting from scratch. So if you have an HND, it's the same as you're going to be doing the top up like you would have done in Ghana. So it's the same thing, just so you know. Okay. So the other question is, please, I want to know if I can get a loan for the process, then study and work to pay. I am not, and if not possible, how much should I be financially prepared? Sam, should I go over the question? I think Sam has frozen. Sam, are you there? So, okay, Nicholas, I'll answer the question for you. So yes, there are different types of loans.
Hello.
I think, hello, Sam?
Hello, Dr. Boashi.
Yeah.
Dr. Boashi, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Sam? Please, if you can hear me, can you put yes in the chat box so that I know everyone can hear me? Please, if you can hear me, please put yes in the chat box.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me, somebody asked a question about loans. So I don't know if you know most of the loan process in terms of Discover, and I know you talked about it, about some of the loan process.
Yeah, so just to ask a simple question, wherever country you are, imagine you have your own business in your home country and a foreigner comes to you as a student to come for a loan. Would you give that person a loan? What's the guarantee that the person will pay back? The person may finish the school and leave for his or a home country. The person may also just take the money and go back home. So what I know is that we call something FAFSA, FAFSA, which is like a federal student loan, which is what I said earlier on, that people in this country, because of high cost of tuition, have to take student loan. And that is only exclusive to citizens or permanent residents who have a reason to remain in this country and have higher chances of paying the loan. For those federal loans, you cannot take them as a student. Now, I know there are some other credit card and smaller loans that you may get, but those, are just like a drop in the ocean. And even those, I'm not sure you can take a loan up to an amount of 40,000, 20,000, or whatever as an international student. Primarily, that is what the financial document that is required to be the bank statement. Before you even get your I-20, which is a declaration of your finances, the courses you are coming to study, the university, who is your sponsor, and how long your program is going to be lasting. This information reported on the I-20. That's why they ask you for the bank statement. So if you cannot pay your tuition, they know it's very expensive. Almost everyone in this country, in a certain few people who are very wealthy or affluent, are able to pay the high cost of tuition in this country. So if you are coming to take a loan, then you better not come at all. So you may not even get a visa at the embassy that you are coming from. Well, you may be lucky to present something in the name of bank statement showing some bloated amount of figure on it, thinking you come here and get a loan. If you come here, even before you apply for a loan, they need your social security number, which it's an identification to show that yes, you are likely to, and even before you get that social security number, you need to have work permit, work authorization to work. You may get a work on campus that helps you to get a social security number. Well, you get that. But to cut a long story short, there are limitations to you as an international student taking loan in this country. There are some of them that you may be lucky to get, but those will just be a drop in the ocean in comparison to how much the tuition is. You may get $500, $200, but that's just something small compared to how much you'll be paying for tuition. That is what I know about. There may be some other loan opportunities that I am not privy to, but from my experience, I do not personally know anybody as an international student who came here and got a student loan from here and be able to continue. Circumstances may differ. Maybe you came here, you have permanent residency, citizenship, or whatever it is. I personally do not know about any such thing that I can share with you on this platform now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sam. One of the things that I also would like to add in terms of the loan is that you don't not have to wait to get here to apply for the loans. There's an organization called Prodigy Finance. You can apply through them, but for them, you need to go to a specific university before they will give you loans. Empower to gives loans. Empower is also a Nigerian organization. They also give you loan, but they have to run your credit, as Sam said. Discover also give loans, but you need to also apply before you get here. Salime, you need a co-sponsor. That is when you have arrived here, you need to have a relative or someone in the US to guarantee for you that if you do not pay, that person is going to pay for the loans. So that is also there. And then we have the MasterCard, which Sam talked about. From my experience, students have been using Prodigy Finance. Prodigy Finance, if you are from a country like some of the southern state countries, Malawi, also West Africa, Nigeria, they wouldn't give it to you. Okay, Prodigy Finance will not give it to you. So there are 5: Empower, Discover, Salime, MasterCard, and Prodigy Finance. These are the companies that would help you. Also, with those of us joining us from from YouTube, I have your questions here. I'm going to ask Samuel to answer your questions. So Sam, are you ready for the Zoom YouTube colleagues? Please, someone is sharing his screen. Please stop. Please stop. Thank you. Sam, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So, Sam, the other question too is that, Doc, please, can you ask Samuel if international students can work full-time during vacations?
Again, before I answer questions like this, I always issue a disclaimer that what I'm saying is based on my experience all through this conversation and do not reflect the association or institution I'm associated with. It represent my personal opinions and information that I've gathered. Things may change based on my experience. As I indicated earlier, I don't think you are still allowed to work 40 hours on, when school is on vacation. It may differ, laws may change, but based on my experience, again, I'm not admission officer, I'm sharing my personal experience, what I've heard from people. Dr. Boatin may know differently or other sources than I do, but based on what I know, even if you're on vacation, the law is you cannot work 20 hours in a week. Even people, citizens from this country. So during my master's level, citizens of this country who are taking full-time courses also have a limitation on how much work they can do, because if you can work a lot and those people who are on scholarship, let me state that. So long story short, I don't know that you can get a full-time employment even if you're on vacation.
Oh, okay, Sam, the law has changed now. According to the US Department of Homeland Security, let me share my screen. The law has changed. So it says F1 students are eligible to receive work permit, blah, blah, blah. And then during the summer too, they can work full-time or part-time on campus during the summer vacation. So this is according to the Department of Homeland Security.gov, study in the States. So the law has changed. Initially, it wasn't like that. Right now, If you're a student, you can receive authorization to work full-time or part-time on campus during summer. So this is only summer. So please, just so you know, it's only summer that you can work full-time or part-time. During school, regular school year, you can only work part-time. So this is according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, or for short, the U.S. Immigration website. So second question. The second question is, someone wants to know if you can leave on the 20 hours. Can that be sufficient? Can it help you in terms of buying food, paying for transportation? Paying for transportation, one thing that I know is that the universities do have buses running around from you if you leave on the bus line, but maybe Sam can also talk about his experiences. And as Sam said, we are talking about our experiences here, just so you know. So Sam, please, the person wants to know if 20 hours per week can help you pay for your living expenses. If you're also a PhD student, or if you have a teaching assistantship, can it help you to pay for some of your tuition and your rents?
Again, everything is individual specific. So like I was saying before, there are a lot of unforeseen expenses that you must make when you come to this country. Even if you get 100% scholarship, you still have to pay for certain things like health insurance. You have to pay for academic facility use like the internet, or certain things that you have to pay for. And that may vary depending on which university you are or which program you are in. Again, someone may have a full scholarship, have 100% tuition taken care of, but you have to pay out-of-state tuition. So that's something you have to pay. So there are a lot of variables at play over here. So that question to answer is yes and no, depending on what kind of scholarship you have. Let's say as a full-time student, you are doing maybe 9 credit hours, and you're supposed to pay about maybe 15,000 for those credit hours, in addition to maybe out-of-state tuition. But you got a scholarship that takes care of your credit hours, then you have to pay out-of-state tuition. Your stipend will not be enough for you to pay out-of-state tuition, because depending on how much funding you get from your school, give a plus or minus, you may be getting between 400 to 800 every, 2 weeks. And that may look like a lot of money, but if you take away the expenses, depending on which city you are and what's the cost of living in those, the point is that yes and no, you can live off that depending on the variables at play, how you budget your expenses, and how you be able to live off. So yes, you can. People have done it. Some of us have done it. Others have not been able to do it. So I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. It depends on the individual, financial circumstances, how much tuition you get, and how you budget your resources. So you can live off that money. You may also not be able to survive from that based on the plethora of variables that I was discussing a while ago.
Thank you, Sam, for putting those tags and making sure people really understand. One thing that you also should know is some people come here and live on large budgets. As Sam was saying, for me, when I was even coming from Ghana, I brought my own gari and shito to sustain me whilst I'm here, so that I wouldn't be spending a lot like buying outside. I know people like to buy food from outside, but it is really important for you to, as the old adage say, cut your coat according to your size. So for me, when I was working, I was making about $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month. Why should I go and buy a sneaker for $250? It doesn't make no sense to me. I wore my Ghana clothes for 2 years. Maybe if somebody dashed me money, or during the summer, if I'm able to get some form of employment, and then if I can get $50, I was not even using that. I've shared my story here before that I've gone to the accounts department or the accounts office to pay $50 as part of my tuition. Just trying to, every money that I was receiving as gift from family and friends, making sure that I use it. So what Sam said is very important. How do you manage your own budget? How do you make sure that you are not overspending? How do you keep, being within your means? Why should I go and sit at a Chinese restaurant and spend $30 if I know that at the end of the day, I have to pay my rent. And that is why when you are applying, we are applying for schools for you, or when you talk to me, I try to know your budgets. Like last week, there is a lady on this platform, I'm not going to mention her name. She said, Dr. Wusu, I have a budget of 100,000 Ghana cedis for school. Let's look at university. So we are looking at fit to ski. Where is the person going? Someone also say, hey, Dr. Wusu, my family can afford this. Can I get a job here? How much is the assistantship? When we talk, I talk to you, or when Mr. Theophilus talks to you, Yaira Kofi, we try to understand your situation. What preparations have you also made? I don't think Sam just took his bag and said he's coming here. He talked about his experiences choosing between the US and either going to Europe. So it's very imperative for you to also think about all that you're gonna be doing. So I think we're gonna take more questions. We have 30 minutes and then we'll be done. So I'm gonna ask another question, and then from those of us watching from YouTube, and after that I'll raise. You can ask questions. I saw that Francis, there was someone called Prince. You asked the question first, so we will go with that, and then come to Francesca, and then Winner can ask their questions, and then we can go. So please, let me go ahead here and ask a question from YouTube. Okay, all right, hold on. Sam, so I think someone might have joined late. He said, Doc, please, can you ask Sam to walk us through, sorry, please, can you ask Sam to walk us through a little on how his interview went? So someone wants to know about the interview process.
Yeah, so, well, it's case specific. Mine was about 5 years now, so I may not remember correctly what really happened over there. Mine was pretty, I would say, easy for me because of the preparation that I've had and the experience that I've had. Like I said before, I went to Education USA, which is located in the US Embassy. So even before I stepped feet into, the interview room, I kind of was psyched up about how to go about the process. So it made it easier for me. I think if I recall, correctly, when I went there, the first thing you do is you hand over your documents to them. I handed my documents to them, and they went through it. They saw my academic records, and then I don't know what they, how do you call it, information they got from it and stuff like that. And then I think she asked me, at the time I traveled to Europe, I was in Norway and a couple of European countries before I came back to Ghana just to prepare to come over here. So the conversation was about, okay, I see you've been to Europe recently. How do you like it over there and stuff like that? So yeah, it's pretty cool and stuff like that. So those are some of the questions they asked me. You've gone to Europe, do you like it? What was the experience and stuff like that? And then they came back to me and said, who's gonna pay for your fees? And I have to say who's gonna pay for it for my tuition. What program am I gonna study? I mentioned it, and what do I intend to do after I'm done? And just a little bit of tip or caveat. Whenever you go for the interview, one of the things I learned is that when you're answering the question, always link it back to the intention of coming back home. I don't know whether I should say this, or even if you don't intend coming back home, just tell them upon completion of this program, I intend to come back home and do ABC, so and so and so. The point is, those people who are interviewed as psychologists, so even before they step over them, besides you up, they kind of form an impression about you, how you dress, how you articulate yourself, how you answer questions. They don't need to tell you, will you come back home? You don't need them to ask you, so will you come back home? So the question is that, what are you going to study? I told them I was going to study this program. I studied public administration. So I was going to study this program in this school, and this was the reason I was going. And then I think they asked me some other question, and I was like, yeah, so what are your plans? That's how they asked the question. So my plan was that upon completion of this program, I intend to come back home and then work in Ministry of maybe whatever it is you want to go to, just give an indication. And then they go up to ask, do you have a parents here or whatever? Some of those questions is to find out if you still have, family ties back home. If all your relatives or families are here in the US, all indication points to the fact that when you come here, you'll be going back. If you have your mom back in your home country, your father, your siblings, whoever it is, at least you have some reason to come back home. Even if you won't be going back home, it is an indication that, okay, this person wouldn't live there forever. And not everyone who, have all their relatives back home who end up returning again. But the tip I'm giving is that depending on how they ask you the question, and maybe it was easy for me because I went to Education USA and they prepped me for it. So I knew what I was saying and how to go about it. There were times that they invite some consular officers to come over there and talk to applicants to kind of familiarize them in terms of how to answer questions and how to go about it. It will be a great disservice to yourself if you can go there or use any of the services like we are doing now to get tips about it. I may be talking for a really long time, but the point is between 5 or 6 years ago, I don't remember exactly what question they asked me, but it was very simple. I gave them my transcript. They saw my credit and they said, wow, that's great. What are you going to study? This program. And it was just like conversational for me. I don't know about other people based on how they go about the whole process.
Sam, I have to clap for you. The way you answer that question is really important. You need to be prepared. I was at the U.S. Embassy in 2018. I was taking my my family there for them to go pick up their passports, and I was marveled how one student was asked, "What would you do when you graduate?" And the student was talking about, "Oh, I plan to do my OPT and find a job and maybe H1B." And then the guy was like, no, like he didn't even let him land. And he was like, okay, I don't think you qualify for this visa. I was just sitting down because it wasn't my turn. And I was just listening to the interviews going on. And I was like, who really prepped these students? Who really guided these students? Have they used any services? Also, I was there again, was it 2019? I had the opportunity to be in India a couple of times, and I've really sat down in a conversation and listened to them, and they just want to know how credible you are as a student, and are you going to come back? So I'm really happy that you are sharing with my colleagues here that yes, some of you guys have genuine intention. I have friends when we graduated, the day they got their degrees, the next day they were on the next flight to Ghana. Some of them were coming to KNUST to teach. Some of them were going to Legon. Some of them UCC, private Central University, Valley View. They already had jobs. So how do you tie it into the question? And that is why I always encourage my students to always use our services, and then myself, Theophilus, Kofi will take you through it. And then we will also escort you. So we take students to Education USA. The Kumasi office is still open for face-to-face. So they are still open for face-to-face, but the Accra office is not open for face-to-face. I had a chance to call them some weeks ago. They are not open for face-to-face. And it's very, very important that you call them on the phone. You can book an appointment. You can and then talk to them. So please, if you are about to go for the visa interview and you are working with us and you have not had a one-on-one with me, after this, please reach out to Yaya. Yaya, please put the company number in so people can reach out to you, because the one-on-one is very important. Secondly, Sam, I know you made mention of dressing for the interview. Can you also walk us through how students should be prepared? Because I'm going to share my screen. Students can also know how to prepare, because I did not put on a tie. I just had my shirt, my white shirt, and black and white, very decent. But can you also share your experience? How did you dress for the interview?
So I will start off with this popular saying in, I don't know wherever it originated from, that you are first of all seen before you are heard. So even before someone begins talking to you, your appearance speaks volumes about you. And that was one of the philosophy, if I may say so, that kind of guided me. It doesn't mean that if you dress really fancy, you just stamp it and say, oh, you look good. That's not what I'm saying. It's personal, philosophy that I have, that people see you first, make impression about you before they begin to talk. So when I was going for the interview, of course, people dress different, and I'm not saying because of my dressing that is how I got whatever I did. I'm not saying that. What I dressed, how I dressed was, I just wore some suit like I'm wearing now. So the suit wearing didn't start from now. Yes, I think I wore suit. I dressed like I don't know whether to say a corporate. But people came without dressing. People came without dressing the way I dressed, and they still got the interview. But the point is that dress like someone who is serious, going to a good job or official, paying job. Would you dress anyhow to, let's say, you are working in the Ministry of Finance or anywhere? No, just dress the way you dress going to work. It doesn't have to wear suit. You have to wear tea. You could dress business casual. You could dress, any way that is really presentable, assuming you are going for a board meeting or you are going for your first interview. I mean, you just cannot throw up anything, and go over that, because there'll be a huge disparity between, even if you have a lot of money on the bank statement, showing that to them that, oh, I can take care of my tuition fee myself, but you dress in the completely opposite way. So then it would trigger a lot of questions. Mind you, I said these people are psychologists. So before you even stand before them, they kind of size you up and kind of make impression about that, how you articulate yourself, how you answer the question, and things like that. Tell them whether you are smart in it or intelligent, and you really. So I would say that, however you dress going to a good job, good paying job or whatever, dress that way. It doesn't mean to wear suit, even if it's a long sleeve or whatever. Just iron it nicely, look presentable, so someone will take you serious. Don't just dress anyhow. Also, it doesn't mean you should pay all attention to dressing and forget about the substance of your meeting. The dress is not going to talk for you. Well, yes, we have to be dressed nicely. What is coming out of your mouth doesn't make sense. Is it convincing? Which school are you going to? You cannot mention the name of the school. Yes, you mention the name of the school. Which city or state is the school located? You cannot mention that. Who is the program coordinator? You don't know that. What kind of program are you going to study? You do not know that. You don't know anything about the college you are going into. You're dressing fancy or whatever is irrelevant to whether you are coming here. So yes, I dress in a presentable way, but that was just part of the various variables that prepared me to go in over there. Prepare for the question that a lot of questions online in terms of visa interview. So just to chip in, even though I went to Education USA for preparation and things like that, I went the extra mile to watch YouTube videos, to read a lot of materials and things like that. And these are some of the things that kind of psyched me up. I read a book that gave me one of the tips in terms of public speaking. The more you sorry, we cut out a bit. So yes, dress presentably. And then secondly, the more you prep, the more you prepare for all this, it kind of eases the anxiety. So even before you get to the room, you have an idea about some of the things. Just like they say, practice makes perfect. The more you read materials, the more you formulate your responses, it gives you confidence about what to say once you go over there. So that's all that I would say. Again, this is my personal experience and what I've heard from people like Dr. Boche, friends, and other colleagues who came over. It may not work for someone, it may work for somebody else. Individual cases, differ based on whatever variables there are.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. Sam, a lot of people have questions about the interview, but I think I'll answer some of them when people call me, maybe in the chat, our chat. So right now, the platform is open. I remember Winter, you raise your hand up. Please, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Winter. Please go ahead. Sam is here.
Yeah, please, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, I can.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Sam. And I must also commend Dr. Boache. He's doing very well. In terms of educating us regarding our aim to travel to United States of America. Actually, Mr. Sam, my question has to do with you traveling to US for your education. I would like to know the duration of your program and the duration of the visa that you're giving. And another question is that I understand that you went there for master's degree, and how come you are able to continue on towards a PhD program? I want to know the crew involved. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. That's a very smart question. Remember, I said before, when I went for the interview, they asked me, what will you be doing upon completion? The question, what are your plans after you complete the program? Behind the back of my mind, I know I want to do a PhD, but I wasn't stupid enough to tell you I want to do a PhD after the program. So it means they are psychologists. They have indications to do a PhD to become very marketable. So you're likely to get a job and not come back home. I told them upon completion of this program, I intend to come back and work with, I think, Ministry of Gender or, urban planning or whatever it was, stuff like that. Do you have your parents back home? Yes, they do, and stuff like that. They gave them a convincing reason. They gave me the visa. I came. I finished my program. I, applied for work permit. I worked for a while. I decided to come back to school. Once I am here, you cannot come and catch me and send me back to wherever I am. So long as I am here legally. Like I said, I wasn't stupid to tell them at the interview that, when I go, I intend to do PhD, and then PhD, then I'll come back home. No, I did not say that. So to answer the second part of the question, my program was a 2-year program. So they gave me a 2-year visa when I came over here. However, it doesn't mean that so one of the things about this visa dynamics is that you could have F1 visa that your program is supposed to last for 2 years, but maybe on the I-20, they extend it by a year. Maybe the end of the program is supposed to be next year. And then they write the duration of the program will be 3 years. It doesn't mean that you'll be legal, you have a legal status as long as you're in this country. What it means is that on your I-20, they can report that your master's program will last for 5 years, 10 years. As long as you are done with the school in 2 years or whatever, they update it into the system. And so you become non-active student. So in your visa, you may have 10 years or 5 years or whatever. If you are not in school, if you are not doing what took you here, maybe F1 student, you are not in status like we said over here. Similarly, your program may be 2 years. You come over here and maybe due to some estimating circumstances, you are unable to finish within 2 years. And so you have to extend it 1 more year. You just have to update the I-20 for you, give you a new I-20. You do not need to apply for visa to extend, the extra 1 year or 2 more years, so long as you are in school. So when I came here, after my master's, I applied for work permits. I got a job. I worked for a while. I decided to go for my PhD. In fact, I got my
All right, guys, Sam will join us. And those of you watching us on YouTube too, thank you very much for watching us on YouTube. We truly appreciate you. Please, if you are here, visit our YouTube. It's there, Top Tier Study Abroad Consult. Like us, follow us. We're going to be putting a lot of videos. So if you're also in Accra, please, our Accra office number is there. Please try and visit us in Accra. Mr. Theophilus is in Accra. The Accra crew, they are all ready for you. Please make sure that you visit us in Accra. Our office is at Rollins Circle. The number has just been posted there. The directions and the phone numbers are there. Please reach out to us. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and also YouTube. Please subscribe. Click the bell so that in case we put any videos, because Mr. Theophilus, myself, and the team will be traveling to different countries to interview students, not only Ghanaian students, Indian students, Ghanaian students, Nigerians, Zimbabweans, about the experiences living in the US or the experiences getting education from Canada, getting education from Europe, Spain, Poland, the UK, Ireland, and then we posting all the videos online in our YouTube. Also, if you are in India too, please, we'll be coming there for recruitment activities. And we have our team also in India. So please, excuse me, subscribe to our channels and you will definitely not regret it. So Sam, are you back?
Yes, I'm here, live in college.
All right, thank you. Please. Let's go to our next person. Esther, please ask your question. Abizi, you are also joining us from Vietnam. The video will be on YouTube, so you can watch later on. So Abizi, I know it's 2 a.m. in Vietnam. Thanks for our crew joining us from Vietnam, India, UAE. I know it's pretty late, Princess, Liberty, and all the crew joining us from UAE, Vietnam, India, China. Thank you all, Mr. Mensa. We truly appreciate you all. Esther, please go.
Okay, I would like to find out what you'll be needing to start the process and the amount involved, and if there is any scholarship too.
Oh, okay, Esther, then this is my question. Esther, please, my number is there. Mr. Theophilus' number is there in the chat box. Please take it right now and then give us a call, please. After the webinar, please reach out to me and then we can talk about that. Winter, please, we can hear you. Please mute yourself, Winter. Please, we can hear you. All right. So please, Esther, reach out to us and I will definitely answer all your questions. Shadrach, please go.
Oh, no. Good evening from Ghana.
Good evening, Shad.
All right, thank you. Today is my first experience with you. Even a friend of mine, I saw it on her status and I just took the Zoom number and I was much interested in today's program. I look forward for other programs too. My question is, do you need to pay full tuition fee before you can get admitted? And I want to know if there any schools that have lowest tuition fee that you can offer us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sam, please take this and
Okay,
then I'll add some.
I don't know whether I should go, Dr. Boise. You want me to answer?
Yeah, please go ahead. I'll also add my response later on. Please go. In terms of the payment,
Hello?
the payment. Can you hear me, Sam? I can
Hello,
hear you,
Dr.
Sam.
Boise.
Can you hear me, Sam?
Dr. Boise, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Sam, I can hear you.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's a very great question. So like I said, I personally, again, what I'm sharing is my personal experience. From what I know is that a lot of schools in the US, if that law has changed again, I do not know. You do not need to pay your tuition before you come over here. All you need to do is to present a bank statement, bona fide bank statement indicating that whoever is sponsoring your education, whether yourself, a relative, friend, or whoever it is, have some liquid capital that can be used to pay your fees. You pay your fees once you come into this country. It is completely opposite to some countries like Canada, for example, or some countries in Europe, for example, where you have to make a part payment before you go. And that does not apply to all schools. Again, information, so nothing is started across board. Every school with their policy and the way they do things. But from what I know is that a lot of schools, if not 90% of whatever in the US, you do not need to pay your fees before you come. There are some of them in the US that may ask you to pay, I think they call it a commitment fee or something. And that is even insignificant compared to the fees you'll be paying. Sometimes they may ask you to pay maybe $400 or some amount of money. It's like to get you committed. And from my experience and people that I have the experience with, a lot of those commitment fees that you pay, some, I think may go towards private universities when you're there, or some state university may do that. So the point is you do not have to pay your fees before you come over here. You present bank statements, financial documents at the embassy to show that you have the sufficient funds to be able to pay for your fees. When you come here, that is when the real business begins. That is my experience. The law may change, as Dr. Boachi may be able to correct me if I'm wrong.
Sam, everything you said, 100% spot on, 100%. So the law has not changed. You do not have to pay. The commitment fee, yes, it's minimal. It's like 400, 300. just last week, one of my clients paid $400. Last week, one of them was asked to pay $100. I don't know if Hetty is here. She has not even paid it yet. It's a commitment fee of just $100, and that even goes towards your tuition. And then the 400 also is not that much, but most of them is the private universities, I would say, commitment fee. But the private universities, the public universities, they basically not require that. I wouldn't say that is to my experience, but I know of only one public university that require you to pay $100 for commitment fee, that you are really willing to come. So yes. Also, the other part of the question was what? If my memory serves me right. Yes, when you get here, one thing that I did for one of my clients who is now a nursing student, I called the university and set what we call the payment plan. So the universities have a payment plan for you. You need not to, when you get here, you need not to pay everything. Like if you're, let's say your whole yearly tuition fee is 10,000 US dollars, you are not required to pay $10,000. What she's actually doing is paying per month. So they've broken it down to 10 semesters. 10 months. So she's paying monthly. So that is how it works. You don't have to pay everything at a go. So just so you know. Okay. All right. Let me read the other questions too. Anyone, please, if you have a question, unmute yourself and ask. I know, Prince, you raised your hand, and I don't know if Techno 2 sent me a question, but I think it has been answered. Please, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Doc, can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes, just what you said about the payment plan. So, for example, if my tuition fees, let's say $10,000 per year, how much will that be per month in case of maybe they set up the payment plan?
Okay, Sam, so what happened is that with the client, what the university did was to spread it for, she's paying, I think, 10,000. So they split it into 10 months. She's paying $1,000 a month. And also one thing is that she has relatives here. So what her relatives are doing is that they helping her to pay. So she pays 500 and her family also pays 500 a month, since she has on-campus job as well. So that is how she's also managing to pay. Also, one of my clients who is also here got an on-campus job that is really helping. And then based on that, he is working on campus where I formerly worked, and then using that to also be of help to pay for the tuition fee. So yes, that is how people are doing. It depends. So one university, one of my client, he got admission to a university. Yearly, he's paying $7,000 for computer science, and then the other one is an MBA. And then I called the university. So that how much is this person going to pay? So he's paying $700. He's going to pay $700 every month. On the 7th of every month, he's going to pay $700. And then they've spread it to 10 months for him. So January, what he's doing is from January to May, and then he's paying August to December. So that is how they've spread everything out for him to pay. Also, I know on YouTube, someone asked a question about scholarships. So is there a scholarship for art students? It depends on the university. Each university has different rules in terms of giving out scholarship. So there are a lot of things that are being considered before a scholarship is given. But I will say, I'll answer this, and then I'll also tap on Sam's brains to see if he has anything else to add, because I always say I'm not the only one who knows all the knowledge about studying abroad. Okay, Mr. Theophilus is there, Yaira, Kofi, Victor, and others are also there. They can also jump in. But there are a lot of things that they consider when giving you a scholarship. Do you have a good teaching background? Do you have research background? Do you have research experience? Do you have teaching experience? There are some scholarships that are awarded just because you are an international student. Some of them are also based on your GPA. There is a merit-based scholarship. There are a lot of scholarships that you can get. For example, when I was at Texas State, the graduate college gave me a scholarship. I also got scholarship from the department. My department gave me scholarship. The student government gave me scholarship, diversity scholarship. My colleagues got international student scholarship. So at the end of the day, I was getting 4 different scholarships, 3 different scholarships each year. So there are a lot of scholarships. Some of them are you don't have to apply. Some of them you also have to apply. But Sam, can you also talk about your scholarship experiences, please, if you wouldn't mind? We have 5 more minutes
Oh
and
yeah,
we're done.
I mean, yeah, very much so. Like you said, there are diverse forms of scholarship, and just like you, I also get this question a lot. What is I mean, how do I get scholarship? It is not as if there is only one single scholarship that you can apply for. There are various forms of them from different kinds of schools, and the scholarship process starts, or it's also part of the application process. So, like Dr. Boachi said, you could get maybe graduate assistantship, you could get diversity, scholarship, you could get scholarship from your the graduate college, you could get different forms of scholarship. But what I have, or the people that I know, the kind of scholarship that they have, I'm not saying that is the only form of scholarship, graduate assistantship, which is what I always, tell people about. I can always share what I know. If I don't know it or heard about it, I cannot share it. So what I say is that when you are applying for school, like even as I explained to other people, the scholarship starts with the application process. Before you spend your money paying application fee and going through the arduous process of application, you need to find out whether the school has some sort of scholarship available. You don't just get up and start applying to the school just because, for example, I'm in University of Cincinnati, you get up and apply to it. The scholarship I have didn't come from the university itself, it came from my department. So what you need to do is that once what program are you interested in? Maybe computer science from maybe Ohio State. What I advise people to do is that go to that specific programs department. Am I still following everyone? Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Sam. All right, guys, can you hear me? So that the most important thing is what I was saying earlier. That is very important that when you work with us, you just don't apply. You can apply to a school. What if the school is not offering scholarships? If the school, that is why it's really good to work. Call me, call Theophilus. Let's see how much we can get to you in terms of scholarship. Just so you know, I know we have just 2 minutes to go. So let me rush through the questions and then Sam can add his closing remarks. Do I need my transcript and certificate from high school to apply for master's program and scholarship? If you're applying for a master's degree, we don't need your high school results. That is not needed. Okay. Please, I want to find out if knowing anything about the GRAs and what does he think about it and how it works if he knows. Here it helps to get scholarship for schools. Are you there, Sam? Are you back?
Yes, I'm
you
here.
froze a little bit.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
Can you talk about the GRA,
yes,
please?
the GRA. Yes, I can share my experience of what I know. So I always still tell people that a lot of admissions office look at your application package in its entirety. They don't just look at your grades from your master's level or bachelor's level. They look at all the document that is required. So yes, the GRA is required. Your transcript is required. Your statement of motivation or however the personal statement or whatever it is required. Your CV is required, and a lot of maybe diversity essay or whatever. They look at all those things in its entirety to make a determination. So yes, the GRA increases your chances of being considered for funding, but that doesn't mean that if you blow it all and have a very terrible grade from your transcript, they will give you a scholarship just because you had a good grade on the GRE. They look at everything combined. Someone may have excellent grade in the transcript, have very excellent personal statement or letter of motivation, very excellent CV, but perform poorly on the GRE. Circumstances may have resulted in that. So they will look at the situation. Oh, this person did very well academically in his or her transcript, had a very good personal statement, and had a good essay. Okay, let's consider this person for this. So yes, the point is that All those things combined are part of the application process. So you have to meet those requirements for the admission committee to even decide to take a look at your application document. It is advisable you write a GRE if it is required, because it increases your chances of getting funded. If you do not write it, your application is incomplete. But like I said, it is not a single determinant of giving you scholarship. It increases your chances because that is the common denominator that they use to judge everybody, that all of you have written this exam and this is your performance in comparison to the other person.
Thank you very much, Sam. You really nailed it again. So just to add a little bit of it, yes, I just don't need, he took the words out of my mouth. They look at the entire application holistically. They look at it in total, like holistically. They look at each and every score. Very good statement of purpose, very good letters of recommendation. All right, the GI will not be a determinant to say, okay, you did not get this. I know the engineering, they look at the quantitative score. So how much do you get in terms of quantitative score? The humanities and the liberal arts, they look at the qualitative score and then the analytical writing as well. So they also look at your GPA on your transcript and everything. Some of the department that I know even look at specifically, if you took calculus, how did you do in terms of calculus? Maybe you did very well in calculus, algebra, but the quantitative score, you did not do well. So they will do their own analysis and see, no, if this student did very well in all these math classes in his undergrad, or even elective maths, core maths, he did well, but SAT is not doing well on the quantitative side, then they know there is a problem. So it's not like you have a low GRE score and then they'll kick you out. No, they consider every part of the application process. Every nitty-gritty is considered. Also, someone asked.
Just to add,
sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Am I allowed to chip in?
Sure, why not? Please go ahead.
Also, I have a friend who, we're a very close friend from UG, and then we came over here. So his GRE that he wrote was nothing compared to what is required. But then when he came here, he was able to better his grade in master's level, got a very excellent grade. PhD level, he got a very excellent grade. He applied to a school in Harvard Law. And then they offered him, he went through the process. He was one of the few students, applicants who was considered. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you. Are you back, Sam? If Sam is not back, someone asked a question about, please, Doc, if you are admitted to a specific semester and some reason you are not able to push it, so the reason you want to push it to the next academic semester, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. If you can defer, okay? You can defer if you don't make it to this semester. If you are working with us, we will do what we can to push it for you to this next semester. Someone also asked a question about what is OPT. So the full meaning of OPT is optional practical training. When you are done with your okay, OPT, Sam, please explain OPT so we can end. That will be our last question. Sam.
Well, like you started saying, is optional
practical training.
Practical training. So they just give you some fancy name to tell you that just as we have F1, J1, whatever F means, I don't know, whatever M means, I don't know. OPT just gives you practical experience based on the course you study. So that's just work employee authorization, let me put it that way, but they decided to call it OPT. It's just for you to be able to get to work after you are done with your program. And if you're in STEM, you have 3 years, I believe. Yeah, 3 years to do it. If you're in the arts, you have 1 year to do your OPT, and you can only do OPT once. So after your master's level, if you decide to apply for OPT and then you exhaust that option, if you go back to do your PhD, then you don't have any OPT left again. So once you're done with the PhD, you either get a job or continue whatever you want to do afterwards.
Good. Sam, please answer this last question. Please, with the F1 visa, can a student visit home or on vacation?
Yeah, you definitely. I mean, the mere fact that you came here doesn't mean you abandon your home country. They even want you to go back once you're done with your program. Yes, you can visit your home country, but what you need to do is that you need to. I think when they sign the the F1, how do you call it, I-20 for you, it is valid for a period of a year. So, and I will share some funny story later on. If you want to go out of, the United States within that year period that the signature is valid, then you have to go back to your designated school official for them to sign it again to prove that you are still in school and you are active. So yes, with F1, so long as you have a valid visa and your I-20 is signed, you can travel out of the United States to whatever it is and then come back again. It is only when maybe your visa expired or you don't, it's beyond 1 year and it's not signed. That is when you have a problem. And because I'm in Ohio, you are really close to Canada. And sometimes you want to have fun, go to Canada, and then people forget and they get stuck in the border. There was a story about students who kind of travel there and have some challenges. So yes, you can travel out to wherever you are from and still come back. Before you do that, you just have to, if you are not sure, just go to the international office and they will provide, a lot more valid or credible information, not credible per se, but up-to-date information that I am sharing with you now.
Okay. All right, Sam. I think we don't want to go over the time. There are people joining all over the world. If you have any questions, please, Mr. Theophilus' number is in there. Our top tier study abroad, our numbers are in there. Please pick one and call us. Sam, we not let you go without not giving us your own advice to international students. There are people joining all over the world, from Vietnam, from China, from India, from Ghana, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, from UAE. What do you want to tell people who have been nursing the dream to pursue an education in the US or abroad?
Just in final words, I first of all want to thank every single individual in your team who was able to put this production together. Kudos to everybody from the designing to the technical crew to yourself and every mastermind behind putting this together. I want to say kudos to you guys for putting this very all-important show to kind of share our experience to others. We do not claim to be an expert, like I was saying earlier before.
Go ahead, Sam.
Frozen. It's frozen.
Go ahead, Sam.
It's frozen.
Oh, okay, he's frozen. Okay, guys, before Sam also gets back, please, I just want you to know that next week, we also bringing someone on board, Esmie Abaaluk. She did her bachelor's degree in the US and follow up to get a master's. So please, Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just giving a kudos to everybody who contributed to this production. That thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm also a student of life. I'm still learning from yourself, Dr. Boache, and your crew. I would keep in touch if I have anything that I need. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Now to the participants, I want to also thank you for sacrificing your precious time to join us to share our experience. It is not at all truth, but it's the work in progress that we are all doing to help everybody. What I have to say is that depending on whichever country you are and whichever part of the world you are, school application process is a very arduous and tiring process. You need to have patience for it. It is a treasure hunt that you have to be patient to find your treasure. It is not an easy process, but what I do know for sure is that a few people who are determined to go through the process actually reap their benefits. So I would encourage you that you don't have to be in haste to say, well, you want to find a school right now, and then tomorrow or next week or next year, you travel and go to school. It doesn't work that way. Be patient about the process. Do your research. If you are in haste to do it, you may fall prey to any kind of unscrupulous organization or people out there who will just take your money and then prey on your vulnerability. So please research, read about the process, because it is the same thing you are coming to do over here. When you come here, you have access to a lot of resources. You have to search, read, and do your research. So start from the application process. Find out how to look for schools, how to start, funding. How do you go about the process? How do you meet the requirements? All those things are part of the application process. And be patient. Do it and do it well so that your efforts will be rewarded. That is all that I can say. You don't have to be in a hurry and then crush yourself. Start gradually. If you know anybody, like I said, we do not know it all. Some people have come before us, before we are here. We are sharing our experience. Others will also come to continue. If you are fortunate to know some of us and we connect to each other on social media, feel free to ask us questions. If I know it, I'll share it with you. If I don't, I will tell you I do not know it and refer you to somebody else. And it's my hope that beyond this conversation, I will still be able to keep in touch with anybody who wants some information that I know to share with you. So I want to say thank you so much. And I wish you the very best in all your exploits and your effort in trying to better yourself, for yourself, your family, and Mother Africa or the continent or the whole world at large.
Thank you very much, Sam. God bless you very much. And again, we would like to say thank you to Sam. I know a lot of people are sending me private messages to say thank you to Sam. Okay, I see it coming. All right. A lot of people are sending messages. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Nice webinar. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so a lot of people are saying thank you. I should say thank you. God bless Sam. God bless Sam and thank you. Okay, all right, I see it. So thank you, guys. Please, next week, you should come. Next week, please join us. Nane Mami Abaaluk will also be sharing her experience pursuing a master's degree in a private school, her bachelor's degree in a private school, and a master's degree from the University of Albany at the State University of New York. Winter, please make sure you mute yourself if you're not talking. So please join us. Also, the Accra office, please put our contact in so people can get our contact. Please, our contact, please follow us on YouTube. Please subscribe our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our numbers are here. Please reach out to us. And then we will do all our possible best to answer your questions. And thanks for watching us live. I see someone say watching live from Macro. Yeah, my roots. Thank you. Myself and Theophilus our roots. So thank you very much. Selassie, I see that you have your hands raised. Selassie, go ahead and ask your question and let's hang off. Selassie, are you waving or you don't have, okay. So thank you all.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Oh, so it was a mistake. Okay, no problem. Thank you guys, and then see you next week and have a blessed week. And God bless you and happy Father's Day. Mr. Theophilus, do you have anything to add before we jump off?
Oh, just to thank them for joining, and then they should call us and then reach out to us at the Accra office. That's all.
Please, our Accra office is open, as Mr. Theophilus is saying. Kindly reach out to us in our Accra office, and then let's meet you and let's be the solution to your study abroad problems. We are here at Top Tier Study Abroad Consult. We are here to answer your questions, your concerns, everything you want to know about studying abroad. We will do our best and let you know whatever we know and provide you with the best knowledge possible out there. We've been doing this, and we hope that we can bring the joy and your dreams into a reality based on the services that we'll be providing to you all for you. Join us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Okay, please. We are bringing a lot of things for you to enjoy. So please reach out to us. Also, if you've not joined our WhatsApp platform, please join our WhatsApp platform. We have 2 WhatsApp platforms or 3 WhatsApp platforms. So please join us, and then we're going to come to you same time next week. And thank you very much.